Don't place a trade based on what you're seeing in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. The last thing I want to talk about is how I almost lost $500,000 in one go, and the lessons that I really want to sort of impart on you, and things that I've just learned over my last 16 years of trading these markets. And, this almost wiped me out, completely wiped me out, almost sent me bankrupt. Again, right? Back when I started 16 years ago, I went through a really bad period, and then I went through a bit of a really bad period as well too. I went through, almost lost it, right? I turned around and actually made a nice positive profit by the end of it, but it was a really hard slug. And that was, looking at my charts right now, if I go back and have a look at this here, right now I'm looking at this period, which was the 2016 period. Now I really want to sort of stress something here. As if you remember back when the election was happening, if you were trading around that time, you would know what was happening around that time, right? We had so many people and so many institutions and everyone out there was screaming crash, right? This is it. The top's in. We're going to see we're going to see the mother of all crashes happen. It's all over. It's going to happen right now. Robert Kiyosaki came out and said it. Your mate Harry Dent came out and said it. Peter Schiff was saying it, right? Because guess what? At the time, I don't know why, but I had a brain hair idea. I was like, you know what? I've been trading successfully up in that point for roughly around 9-10 years, somewhere under there, or maybe 8-9 years, somewhere under there. And I was trading successfully. How about I stop doing what I'm doing? How about I stop doing what I've been doing because it's actually been working? How about I stop doing what was working, which was just trading my system and having a good win-loss ratio and kissing babies, making money every year, to then starting to look at all these big fundamentals, right? So I went to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So this brain hair idea, I thought, you know what? I need to learn the big macro fundamentals. I need to learn everything that goes into it. So I started looking at these people that I thought were smarter than me. So, these people have been doing it for 40, 50 years. Surely they know, blah, 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 right? And I started to sign up to subscriptions and look into everything and all this sort of stuff. And what ended up happening was, one of the most worst things that I ever did at the time is that I became so sucked in to the narrative. I became so sucked into the very loud noises that everyone was doing. And this is where most successful investors have the ability to listen to the noise and do the opposite. Because the herd mentality is 99% wrong, or almost always wrong, right? Because they follow the sheep mentality is follow, right? Everyone, it's like if everyone is screaming something, then it's like it's all done, right? Like even last month of doing this recording, Bitcoin hit 65,000, and I had my gym mate who owns a gym saying, "Oh my goodness, I made so much money." I had I had another sort of person that I know who's a network marketing guy screaming, "Oh my goodness, Bitcoin, we know Bitcoin's just going to go up." And then I had a lady friend who, she's more into like property stuff. She doesn't know anything about stock market. And guess what? She's now making money with Ethereum. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a bubble like no bubbles of hell, right? Because guess what? Everyone is now jumping on it. And the thing is, like, as you go, I've been through this a few times now in my life, and I'm like, I'm starting to see the patterns this time. So when everyone is screaming something at you, the smart investors do the opposite, all right? And so back to what was happening here around the 2016 time when the whole Trump election was happening, is guess what? Everyone, the narratives, the subscriptions, everyone I was speaking to, or everyone I was listening to, was screaming the same thing: crash. So I saw this. I'm just like, man, they all can't be wrong, can they? Now, again, guys, I'm a technical trader. That's how I've made my money from trading, is technically I've made my money. I've looked at really good technical setups. I trade it. Some are losses because it's just a win-loss ratio and you just got this part of, there's a loss, cool, move on. Most are profits, rinse, recycle, repeat, and make money. That's how I make money every year, right? But I stopped doing that. Then I started listening to all these people that I thought were smarter than me. And this is actually a big thing to you guys, right? It's like no one knows what's going to happen. And in fact, if you want to do really, really, really well from trading or really well from these markets, one of the most important things to you, apart from having a system and a plan, is listening to the crowd and doing the exact opposite. And so, and doing that, again, at 2016 almost cost me so much money. But I learned from that, right? I learned from that. And so even like last year when the whole virus situation happened and everyone was screaming, this thing's going to hell, guess what I was doing? I was buying up stocks. Why? Especially I bought options in SPY, I bought options in Apple, in JP Morgan. Like I bought long dated options on all these stocks. So I'm like, man, everyone's screaming crash. The world looks like it's about to fall apart. This is the time to buy. And you know what happened, right? Actually, within 2 weeks of actually doing that, especially on the SPY, we're actually rallying, and then we made new highs, and we know what happened from there. Contrarian investor, right? Listen to the crowd and going against it because they're always wrong. So 2016, when all that was happening, guess what I started to do? I started to load up literally hundreds of thousands of dollars of VIX options, aka when the market drops, my VIX is likely to spike. When that happens, I'm going to make a fortune. Oh my goodness, here we go. And then also, guess what I did? I started loading up hundreds of thousands of dollars on put options on the SPY. I'm like, man, I am going to become a 10 millionaire guy, right? Forget just becoming a 7-figure trader. You know, and I've been there, done that. Cool. I want to become a $10 million trader, right? Here we go. And so I did this, right? It's like, oh my goodness. And I had around that time, it was close to $500,000 in negative positions on the markets or bearish positions on the markets around this time when the whole Trump election thing happened. And as you know, what ended up happening was we didn't really do much for a while, but when Trump was elected, it was about a week or two later, this started to happen and we started to break up to new highs. And I'm just like, this is not right. This is not right. This is not what I've been hearing. This is not what I've been seeing. And thank God that I had the position to be in a situation to say, you know what, I am wrong here. I need to get out. So I think I lost around at that time here with the VIX options and with the SPY options. I think I lost around about $150,000 on the 150 to 200 grand, somewhere around about that range. You know, let's just make it 200 grand, right? Just to make the story sound, you know, worse than it really was. But it was still really bad, right? I still lost a lot of money at that time. But I'm very, very, very thankful that I went back to trading the way that I did, because I ended up making all that money back plus a little bit more. So I had a nice profitable year, but nowhere near that I'm normally, right? Because I had to make back 200 grand and then make back and then make another, you know, another couple of six figures there just to make a nice profit for that year. Oh, otherwise that year could have been a $500,000 profit a year for me. But the big lessons that I really want to drive home there, guys, is that firstly, no one knows what's going to happen. In fact, in that free trading course that I'm giving away, in the link below, you'll be able to see that I talk about the biggest mistakes that most people make. And one of the biggest mistakes that probably you're making right now is going with the herd, because the market always does this. Whenever something seems to be really, really, really good and everyone's shopping on it, like just a month ago with Bitcoin, everyone was talking about crypto. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's game over. And then look what happened. 50%, the whole thing halved from 65 down to 30. And we still may have more to go when it comes to crypto, right? And so as we look what happened last year. Everyone was screaming, pandemic, it's all over, you know, it's done. Guess what? Buying opportunity, right? Buying opportunity. So if we're taking the same narrative right now when it comes to the actual stock market as I'm doing this recording, guess what are most people talking about right now? Are they saying, oh my goodness, I'm making so much money in the stock market. Oh my goodness, this is great. Or is the narrative right now, oh my goodness, this is the biggest bubble in history, we're gonna crash, and they start to look at facts and figures and spreadsheets and numbers and blah, 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 right? All the stuff. What are they doing? They're screaming what? Bubble, this is going to crash. Now, remember what I said before. Most people are wrong. The herd mentality are wrong. So whatever they're saying in the herd mentality, guess what? The opposite is true. So that's the reason. That's one of the reasons why I don't believe we're at the top of the stock market right now, and I believe we have a lot more to go, because we're not seeing there's amazing stories come out like we were just a few months ago with the crypto market. People making millions and millions of dollars, right? That's a bubble. Now that's a bubble. But in the stock market right now, when it comes to the S&P 500 or the Nasdaq, we're not hearing, oh my goodness, I made $1 million. Oh my goodness, I'm making so much money. We're not hearing the barber getting to the stock market yet, right? So therefore, I believe we're nowhere near the top of the market yet. Now, probably in the next 3 to 6 months, we're going to start to hear that. And as a contrarian investor, it's so important to take that and say, you know what? If I'm long the market right now, this is my cue to sell. This is my cue to actually get out of my positions. And one of the reasons why I've done so well this year is because I've seen that mentality. This whole year, people are saying, you know, it's over, it's going to crash, and all this sort of stuff. So that is my story of how I lost almost $500,000. Because if I was a little pig-headed and said, no, I'm definitely right, as you can see, right, what ended up happening to the stock market, we went way up. I would have lost 100% of that option. All those options would have expired worthless. I would have been down $500,000 that year, and it would have been really, really bad. But what ended up happening was I flipped it, where I got out for $150,000 to $200,000 loss. Still a big loss. I wasn't happy with it, but because the way that I trade the markets, I knew that I could make that back. And by the end of the year, I made that back plus a lot more. And so I still had an okay year, not a great year compared to what I normally do. And then I continue moving forward from there. So there we go, guys. This is the story of how I lost almost $500,000 in the markets. This here completely almost wiped me out.